Okay, yeah, I just want to share a few remarks before we get started here. Patty Murray tonight showed how truly out of touch she is with what Washington families are facing. On student loan debt or student loans, she sides against those who choose to not go to college. On crime, she made no mention of fentanyl. That is ravaging our streets and killing our kids here in Washington State in our schools. It's not just in our homeless encampments. And on energy, she had zero plan to reduce gas prices. So I do have a plan. I have a planned agenda for recovery and reform, how we can turn crisis into hope for all of Washington State. Mm-hmm.
You said that there were a few things in that you admitted that you didn't like.
Right.
Can you, I guess, name some specifics?
Well, look, I'm running in Washington State. There are parts of that law that are bad and they don't work. And I think we need to be clear that we need to stop using fear as a wedge, especially here in Washington State, to scare women, because nothing changes here. I'm fighting and winning for Washington State. That's what I'm focused on. Like I mentioned, I'm going to work hard to ensure that women have timely, affordable access to contraception, that they have access to health care and child care. And unlike Senator Murray, I'll go get that done for women. I talked with a student at University of Washington who's a young mom, and she needs child care. She needs a hand up, and I will be happy to go fight for her and all women across Washington State that need help.
Based on abortion, I just want you to clarify. We say respect the will of the Washington voters. As a senator, your vote is going to impact the nation. If a bill is presented to legalize abortion, to codify Roe, where would you stand on that?
So I've been clear, I'm against a federal abortion ban. I believe it belongs closest to the people voting on it. And here in Washington State, I respect the will of those voters. So I am against a federal abortion ban completely.
But are you for codifying Roe then?
I'm against any federal ban for or against. It belongs with the people. That's who should decide.
Tonight you said that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. There was a section on your website back in July that cast doubts on that. You also tonight also affirmed that you do believe human actions are causing climate change. Are you know, there's a lot of independents out there, a lot of folks who haven't decided who are going to vote. Are you kind of creeping toward the middle in the final week?
Well, I want to be clear that I think it's fair on both sides of the aisle to say that people had questions about the election. I hear it from Democrats and Republicans. They want to know that their vote is counted, that our elections are, that it's easy to vote and hard to cheat. So that's what I was addressing. I actually have a political agenda for recovery and reform, which addresses that issue as well. You know, look, that's what I'm focused on. And I have been clear that on climate change, that we need to do something, that humans cause it. I don't think that was ever in question. And I have an agenda for that. I outlined it in the town hall today. But we need to lower gas prices. We need to unleash American energy independence, because we do it best with our environmental standards. China, Russia, Venezuela, they don't have any environmental standards. So we need to do that in the short term, while in the long term, we ensure that we have a plan with an all-of-above clean energy approach. In addition to that, here in Washington State, you know, our dams provide clean hydro energy. Senator Murray wants to rip those out with no plan to replace it. So we need to protect our dams. That's clean, efficient, cheap energy that Washington State deserves.
You mentioned that in order to pay for college and open up opportunities to serve our country. What did you mean by that? And what if someone doesn't want to serve?
What I was referencing in that is, if you're taking the money from the government, then you should go into some form of public service to our country. That's what I was referencing.
Senator Murray in the debate today said that she would support Biden's idea to release natural oil reserve in terms of affecting gas prices.
Our petroleum reserve, yeah.
Is that something that you support? Can you talk about that?
No, I think that's extremely dangerous for our country. Never have we had it this low. It's a huge national security threat for our country, and it doesn't have to be done. We need to unleash American energy independence and lower gas prices right now. People are suffering out there. You know, I've been in all 39 counties. I've been in 18 cities over the last 5 days, or 6 days, whatever day it is today. And people are struggling. Those on fixed incomes, they're deciding, do I put gas in my car or do I buy a gallon of milk? I referenced the woman who had her little girls playing outside in the parking lot. She needs gas prices to be lower. We can do that. We should not be depleting our reserve. Absolutely not, especially with the state that we are in right now in our national security. The weakness of the Biden-Murray agenda has emboldened evils of this world. This is extremely dangerous.
You've often criticized Murray for being in this role for you are elected, how long do you see yourself
Mm-hmm.
being in this position?
Yeah, I mean, 30 years. I mentioned it, 30 years and only 9 bills across the line. You know, that tells me a couple of things. Number one, she's not working hard enough for us. And number two, she's not willing to work with Republicans. I'm going to D.C. to work with Democrats and Republicans to deliver results. One of the first things I did was sign the term limits pledge. 2 terms in the Senate, that's great. I think we can get a lot of work done. And I'm not going there to make a career out of it. In fact, I can hardly believe that I'm even running for Senate. But I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. For me and my family, this is service over self and a service to this country. People in Washington State, you know, they don't need seniority. They need motivation and principle. That's who they need to send to Washington, D.C.
So you're saying if you're elected, you would serve 2 terms?
Yeah, I think I can get a lot of work done in 2 terms. Yeah.
What do you think is the most wasteful government spending right now? Where do you want to make cuts?
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily cuts, but it's also the waste, fraud, and abuse that goes on in our agencies as well as our budget. You know, in my political agenda for recovery and reform have been very clear. If Congress cannot balance a budget for the year, then they shouldn't get paid. Because hardworking Washington families all over this state are having to sit down and figure out how to balance a budget. So we need to be working for the people of Washington State. So that's number one. Number two, you know, if you want a specific program that we can cut, we need to cut the clean crack pipe and clean needle program. Because at this point, I think we can all agree that that doesn't work. We're allowing people to poison themselves to death right in front of us. So we need other measures that work to save their lives. That's a program I would cut.
Last question. Okay, you have a little over a week until election
Yeah.
day. What do we have in store for this
Yeah.
week? As a mail-in state, some people already turned in their ballots, but where are you focused and
Yeah.
what's going to happen this next week?
Yes, I am going to continue out on the road. My bus is waiting for me somewhere out there. We're going to continue to hit over 28 cities between now and Election Day. Anyone can join us on our tour. I've already been to over 11 cities, but this is after I've already been to all 39 counties, many of them multiple times. So we are going to continue to share our message, my agenda for recovery and reform to deliver results and turn crisis into hope for all of Washington State.
And the next stop is?
The next stop is Vancouver. Vancouver, Yakima, Vancouver. Yeah. So every day we're making multiple stops. Some days I've had 5 stops, just depending on the location and how quickly we can get places. And it's truly been remarkable. I'm in awe. Washington State's ready for change. Hundreds and hundreds of people are coming out to our events. They're ready for leadership.
Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good night.